Welcome to the second season of the Talking with Top podcast. I'm your host, Todd Carter. Today's episode is sponsored by TJ Everhart Consulting LLC, developing the world's greatest employees, one training strategy at a time. Today on the show, I am excited to have our next guest, Mr. Fletcher Cleaves. Fletcher is an entrepreneur and a motivational speaker. He is known by the Wheelchair Nomad. Did I say that right?
Wheelchair Nomad.
Nomad, okay. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Glad to be here. Glad to be here. What's up, everybody out there in podcast land? Hope everybody's feeling good and delightful today.
Absolutely. All right, so go ahead before we get started into everything. Tell everybody where you're from.
Okay, yeah. So my name is Fletcher Cleaves. I am born and raised in Memphis, Tennessee, down south. Love it down here with the great weather and whatnot. Where are you located?
I'm in Birmingham. Well, I'm in Birmingham, Alabama, but I'm actually in a suburb. I'm in the country, so I'm in Montevallo.
Okay, I got you.
Yes. All right. So go ahead and introduce yourself and tell your story.
Absolutely. So, I'm born and raised in Memphis, Tennessee, and growing up, I was the epitome of boys will be boys. Just to give a brief overview, a synopsis of myself. I was, throwing dirt claws and breaking windows, and always messing up my knee or scraping my arm. My parents, every time he come home he always got a new scratch on him, and my dad was just boys will be boys. And I channeled that energy into a positive atmosphere and got into organized team sports. I was blessed enough to receive a football scholarship, and coming out of high school, I was a gifted athlete. So I remember my parents telling me, "Hey, if you get a scholarship, we'll buy you a car." I was like, "What? Say no more."
Right.
So because my dad was like, "Buying a car is way more expensive than paying for tuition." So I was blessed enough to receive a scholarship, but unfortunately, 5 months after I graduated high school, when I was a freshman in college, September 10th, 2009, a lady was texting and driving and ran my roommate out off the road, caused us to flip into an embankment and caused me to become paralyzed.
Wow.
And since that incident, I've just been trying to live my truth and be, real to myself and live life like there is no tomorrow, and continuously overcome adversity and prove people wrong. So that's what brings us here today.
Absolutely. I love it. All
Thank
right.
you.
So before we dive into the questions that I prepared for you,
Sure.
Let's have a little razzle dazzle.
Little razzle dazzle. I like it.
So I want to congratulate you because I saw where you posted you are the Cordova High School recipient for the Tough as Nails Award.
Close. So the award is given to somebody currently in high school on the football team. So they would name the award after me. So a student there received the Fletcher Cleaves Tough as Nails Award.
Oh, okay. I love that. I love that they have an award in your honor.
Yes, okay, it is. It's the first year that they did it, so it's an honor to be a part of that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So how did you, what inspired you to become a motivational speaker? Tell us about that, how you made that choice.
I really did it on accident. I've always been an extrovert. I've always been an outgoing individual and easy to talk to. So I remember my mother, her coworker was like, "Hey, my son's playing a big game on Friday." This is probably 2 or 3 years after probably like 3 or 4 years after I first got injured. And she was, "Hey, my son's having a big game Friday. Do you mind giving a little pep talk to his football team?" So I'm just talking to him. At this time, I'm only 4 years removed from high school, so talking to them is like talking to my little brother. So I'm like, "Hey, y'all got to get out there, leave it all on the field, play like it's your last, and just talking my truth." And they were inspired. They ended up winning the game, and they was like, "Man, that was a great presentation. Can you come back next week?" Oh yeah, sure, no problem. And come back next week, and then somebody was like, "Hey, can you come speak to my youth group at church?" I was like, "Yeah, no problem." And then at Snowball Effect, can you come speak to my son's senior class? And then once ESPN and AT&T heard about my story, they created a commercial about my story. And once that commercial aired nationally, things kind of just took off.
Oh, that is awesome.
So
That's
now I
awesome.
just perfected my craft, and I went from just speaking, then I wrote something down, and there were some pictures of me during my first year of being a quote unquote speaker. I'm reading off of a page, and I'm like, I got my head down. You can't really see my
Right.
face. Yeah, but then as the years progressed, I kind of perfected my craft and recognized one of the best speakers in the country.
Oh, that's awesome. In doing this podcast, that's one of the things that I can relate to as well. That I can look back at my other episodes where I still have to look down and kind of get my questions, but I
Mhm.
was doing a lot of this. So, you know, anytime you go into anything, you have to go ahead and train and learn how to do it. So I am in the process of
Mhm.
learning how to give interviews and, just some different things to help my channel. So I like
Yeah,
that you said that.
and the more you do it, the better you'll get. Like people ask me, did you go to a speaking class or did you take a speaking coach? I said, no. I mean, anything you do, there's a quote that says, what you do most is what you do best, what you will do best. So whatever you do the most, wherever if you spend most of your time sitting on the couch and being lazy, that's what you're gonna do best. If you spend most of your time studying, that's what you're gonna do best. So what you do most is what you do best. So the more you do it, the continuous repetition, the practicing, eventually you're just gonna perfect it. You're gonna find out what works, what doesn't work, and you're gonna get great at it.
I love that. And you know what I was thinking as you were talking, you are so right. Because it's like, yeah, whatever you like and you're doing,
Mhm.
you will get better at it. Whether
Absolutely.
it's a couch potato or whatever, you're gonna get so
Whatever.
good in a couch
Ath-
potato if that's
yeah,
all you
athletes,
do.
they go to the gym, in the gym 10, 12 hours a day. If you're in the gym 12 hours a day or you on the field 12 hours a day, eventually you're gonna get good. Just what you
Right.
do most is what you do best.
I love it. All right. So the wheelchair nomad, tell us about, I'm sorry. Tell us what that means for your brand, because I saw where
Mhm.
you have a trademark.
Yeah, I have the Wheelchair Nomad trademark, and I also have a LLC, a nonprofit organization associated with my brand. And it just came about where being disabled or having a disability, didn't want that to diminish my love for travel. I didn't want that to confine me to my space of where I live. So even though when I became paralyzed, I still wanted to travel and go to spring break with my friends and just kick it, so to speak. And I started realizing, the difficulty it is to travel with a disability and the lack of accessibility or the lack of diversity in the travel community throughout different locations, whether it's domestic or international, or cruises or excursions or whatever it may be. And I started just becoming an advocate for that type of industry. Like, hey, you know what? People with disability deserve luxury. People with disability deserve to be comfortable when they travel. People with disability deserve to do everything else. So I was blessed enough to have a great support system that allowed me to do all this travel and help me skydive and help me do these things. And so I just became an advocate for it. And I just
Absolutely.
and people, just me being the person I am, a kind of a jokester. People's like, Flex, you always gone. You everywhere. And somebody was like, "Yeah, you like a nomad," and I was like, "Yeah, baby, I'm the wheelchair nomad." And then I just started using that tag like wheelchair nomad. And I remember one year I went to the Taste of Chicago, and we were
Ooh,
there. Yeah, you
I'm
like the
sorry, I
Taste
got
of Chicago?
excited. Yeah, because one of my friends been inviting me to that, and that's on my list to do. They say
Oh,
it's
you
a
got to
real
do
nice
it.
event.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
it's a little different over the years, but it's still a must do. So I went to the Taste of Chicago, and we were kicking it. And later that night, we went out to a nightclub, and we pulled up to the front. And my cousin got my wheelchair out, and they put me in my chair and put my cologne on, straighten my clothes out, and everything. And as we were about to go get in line, a lady tapped me on my shoulder, and she was like, "Excuse me, are you the wheelchair nomad?" I was like, "How do you know that?" She was like,
Right.
"I've been following your story. Like I've been seeing your posts. I'm a part of these travel group, and they've just been sharing your posts, and it's such an inspiration." He's like, "Can we take a picture?" And that's why I was like, "Oh yeah, this wheelchair nomad is a real thing." Like people
Yeah.
start to recognize me from that, so I just stuck with it.
Absolutely. You got to use what it is that you had to get your story out. So I just like it because it sets you apart. So when
Hmm.
I Googled you, it came up. And so it was just like it wasn't hard to find you. So that's good branding.
Absolutely, thank you. I'm still working, I'm still learning.
Yeah, me too. I'm taking a digital marketing class as we speak, and so
Mhm.
I'm learning some things to help put my podcast. It's some things that I already kind of know, but there's some other things that I'm not putting into effect. So
Mhm.
definitely, you have to own your craft and make it better and grow. So
There you go. The
definitely,
social media and digital marketing is the best thing smoking out of right now.
it is. It is absolutely. So you already kind of told us about how you advocate for handicap accommodation. So go ahead and
Mhm.
tell me, well, tell the audience why it's so important to not be a distracted driver, because I see that you also advocate for that as well.
Yes, ma'am. So, for those who don't know, my car crash was caused by someone distracted driving. So I became an advocate for that. And you got to realize that driving is the most dangerous thing you will do on a daily basis. So when you're doing something that's already dangerous within itself, you need to be paying attention at all times. And just with technology and everything, there's so many distractions from smartwatches to smartphones to, we get addicted to the sense of being connected. So with social
Right.
media and all this technology, there's a study that shows that receiving a notification on your cell phone gives the brain the same endorphins as hitting the jackpot. We've been
Mm,
trained to want to be connected so much with the outside world that like for instance, how many times have you been in the kitchen and your phone was ringing in the other room and you say, "Oh, somebody calling me." You got to hurry up and
mm,
answer it because you're afraid that
absolutely.
you miss that connection. You're afraid you're gonna miss that call, or you
Mhm.
might be somewhere and you're like, "Was that my phone that just went off?" And like that sense of always being connected has become addicting. And just the time to be disconnected is when you're driving, because there's so much stuff can happen behind the wheel that's already out of your control. So one thing
Right.
you can't control is your attention by paying attention. So control that. You don't want to harm yourself. You don't want to harm others, and I'll just become an advocate for that.
Absolutely. Because I know myself, I don't text and drive or anything, but I will, kind of mess with the radio just a little bit. And
Mhm.
even doing that, you're still distracted, because if you
Yep.
look off and things like that just for a moment, you
Mhm.
can end up in the back of somebody. So I do
Quick.
try to stay focused.
There's a video out right now of a worker. They're trying to see who was at fault. Well, I mean, you can tell it was at fault. It's just they're trying to get people's opinion. So he was like a UPS driver or some company driving a truck, and it was a fly or something in the truck, and he was trying to kill the fly, and not knowing the person in front of him stopped, and he rammed in the back of him and caused some injuries and stuff. And
Mhm.
it's like, man, you got to be distracted. You trying to kill a fly and almost hurt kill somebody.
Right, right. And it's so easy to get distracted like that. I think
Hmm.
one of my friends, they posted where um I think it was a wasp or a bumblebee. They were a truck driver, and it had got into his pants somehow. And so he was driving when it happened. He didn't have a wreck or anything, but he just know he had to like pull over, because it was just
Hmm.
something where it needed his immediate attention,
Yeah.
because it was so uncomfortable. So
Well, shout out to him for pulling over.
yeah, right, absolutely. Right. So one of the things that I always ask all of my guests, and as I was looking at your story, it seems like you already know, but I want to ask it differently. Like, did you know your purpose before the car crash or after?
Definitely after. I think after. Before I was 18 years young, I tell people all the time, at that age of my life, I was worried about three things: school, football, girls. That's it. That's all
Yeah.
thing. Like, I mean, that's all thing. If I did good in school, my mom and them, they always say, because I didn't work in high school, that was like, son, you got the next 50 years to work. You just worry about going to school and we'll take care of everything else. So if I was like, if I just go to school and play good and play football, the third one gonna take care of itself. So that's all I was associated my life, just being young, not really have any real responsibility. But then once this car crash happened, I'm no longer playing football. Who am I? Like, I've always been Fletcher, the football player. Like, so now,
Mhm.
like, how would I reshape my identity? So I decided to go back to college, get a degree, and just kind of, figure out who I am or what I want to do with my life. And then I found that this was my passion, and I love it.
Right, absolutely. I always tell people, you don't find it, you discover your
Hmm.
your purpose in life. And whenever you are operating your purpose, to me, it is just so much joy in that. And that's one of the things how this podcast came about, because I was wondering, like, what is my purpose in life? What am I
Hmm.
passionate about? What
Hmm.
is my gift? And I wanted to know. And I started to look at something that you do every day without even knowing that you're doing it. And so one of
Mhm.
the things that I discovered about myself is that I always encourage others. And I'm a motivator. I'm that person who will get you motivated and have you thinking, okay, I can, fly this plane on first go,
Yeah,
So I love that. And so that's one of the things that I do very well. So I know that I'm walking in my purpose, even in my podcast, because I always have the most extraordinary guest on. And this is what my platform is about, is to inspire and to empower other people through
hmm,
people's stories and through entrepreneur, like the people who have those type of stories. And it's been doing just that. So I love that God has blessed me with this platform. And I just like being in my purpose. So purpose is something
absolutely.
great.
So have you
Absolutely.
have you ever thought about being a speaker? If you think this is your purpose, or is that not something you want to venture out into?
Yes, I have. That's another thing that I thought about. I just wanted to make sure that I didn't jump around and put too much on my plate. So I'm trying to master one thing before I decide to go jump at something else. But
Mhm.
definitely that is something else that I thought about.
Okay.
Yeah. And also too, I want to say this. We have a lot of similarities. And one of them is that I read where your parents have been married over 34 years.
Yeah, I'm 35. I'm not 35. I'm tripping. Yeah, they just got married 34 years in May. Yep.
That's awesome. So I too have parents who have been married 55 years. And so then
Mhm.
also before the show, I share with you that my brother-in-law was in a wheelchair as well, that he had
Mhm.
a football injury. And so, and I'll save our other, similarity for
Mhm.
later. But
Mhm.
that was one of the other things that I liked about just having you on, is that we have some similar things that, things in common
Yeah,
that we can talk about and definitely share. So
absolutely.
all right. We're going through our questions so fast.
Oh,
All
we
right.
so you slow it down.
Okay. So one of the other things that I wanted to ask is that motivating others make you feel what?
Motivating other makes me feel fulfilled. It makes me feel like I'm making a difference in the world because
Mhm.
people tell me all the time that you're changing lives every day, you're impacting lives every day, more than you would ever have done on the football field. And
Right.
I can truly see it when I go to these places and I give these presentations and I talk to these kids or adults or businesses or advocacy for people with disability, and just the enjoyment and the fulfilled sense of self purpose. It's like, dang, Fletch, you really out here making a difference. And I love that. I love that for myself. I love it for others. And like you just mentioned, letting somebody or talking to somebody and having them feel accomplished, or having them feel like they can knock down a brick wall simply by you telling your story, or simply by me just being who I am and just the
Mhm.
things I do. So there's people always ask, Fletch, how do you motivate? How do you inspire others? And I was like, I never intended to. I just do me. And people was like, Fletch, that is so inspiring. I'm like, for real? I just wanted to jump out the plane. I just wanted to kick it. And I was just kicking.
What I always tell people too is that your vibration is high. So you attract good things and good people. And so it's
Hmm.
easy for you to motivate because you are a person who, just you. I mean, it's like, okay, we all know what has happened with you, but you're not letting that define you. And so you are always striving to beat the odds. One of the other things that I wanted you to speak on too is just being an athlete, how you, I did see one of your interviews where you were talking about you were a smaller athlete and
Hmm.
how you had to overcome some no's. So go ahead and kind of speak on that, because I have my baby girl is an athlete as well. And
Hmm.
so I get that you may not have the build of the sport that you're in, but you can still be a good player, and just how that is when you're getting those little soft no's on things.
Yeah, being an undersized athlete, people are definitely gonna discourage you throughout the whole process. Are you sure you want to do this? Fletch, you look too small, man. You want to do something else, but you got to understand that confidence is key. My confidence is so high, like I believe I can do anything. Literally, it
Right.
don't matter what it is. I feel like, yep. Anybody want? Yep, I can do it. I can do everything. Yeah, and just having that type of mentality and not being one to define by your nose, but more so by your yes, or not be defined by your yeses, but more so by your nose. Because I tell people all the time, the worst thing you can do is tell me I can't do something, because now I'm
Mhm.
going to make it my purpose to prove you wrong. Or all the no's that I've received throughout my life has defined me and given me the strength to continuously push. Because sometimes like to some people the no's can be discouraging, but to
Mhm.
me that means like, oh, you really no me no. Okay. so
Right.
so now I gotta figure out what I need to do to prove you wrong or to make that a yes. And just being an undersized athlete, understand that whatever you do, most of what you'll do best. So if you are undersized, figure out what you do well, figure out what it is you do
Mhm.
well, and do that to your best ability.
Absolutely. And you also have to be able to take no's in business and in life, because that's one thing that I think I had so many yeses on a lot of stuff. To when I started to get no's, I didn't even know how to respond to it because I
Mm-hmm.
was so used to things being so easy for me. And
Mm-hmm.
then I just was going through life, and then life happened, in terms of some things that I experienced and things like that. And I was just like, what's going on here? But up until then, I hadn't had nothing to really challenge me. Everything I went to do was just so easy
Yeah.
until I got to a point where I was going through a divorce. I lost a child to stillborn, and I was just trying to like, what is going on here? What did I do? And so
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it can be a blessing and a curse. Always receiving yes, you're thankful that you can receive all the yeses you've ever received, but at the same time, it can make you complacent. It can make you not willing to fight for something because everything has always come so easy. You've never been through adversity. You've never figured out what is my next step going to be? How am I going to overcome this? Because it's always been, yep, yep, yep. So
mhm.
thankful for your yeses, but also be thankful for your no's.
Absolutely. And I want to share this as well because you said this earlier about being complacent. Because I remember I worked at a bank for years,
Mhm.
and I was so complacent in that just where I was, because I was able to purchase a home and do some things that I needed to do. And it was
Mhm.
until I lost my job that I decided that, oh, wait a minute, I need a degree. So I had worked in the workforce for years without a degree. And so I think that if that never happened to me, I would have never, because I had been to college before, but I never finished. I would just kind of play around with it. It was until I hit a brick wall in terms of my career that I decided that, oh, I didn't like when I started to apply for jobs. I didn't like what the pay looked like. I was like, oh, is this what people getting paid? So it forced me to grow and to
Mhm.
learn something. So I had to reinvent myself. And so I went back to college. I pledged. I knocked out some things off my bucket list that I always dreamed of, but didn't know whether I get to it. And then I find myself, just be reinventing myself at that time. So you're
There
right.
you
You
go.
got to have some no's.
There you
Yeah.
go. Congratulations on all that too.
Thank you. Thank you. It's still a struggle though. On other stuff, it's like, oh, all right. I probably cut that part out, that one positive. But okay. So we're gonna move on. So now let's get to on a personal note.
Okay, okay.
All right, some more razzle dazzle.
More razzle dazzle. I love it. Give it to what you got for me.
All right, so go ahead and tell everybody what fraternity you represent, Mr. Fletcher.
Come on now. The greatest fraternity on earth, Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated.
I love it. You know what?
Order.
I
Well,
love
I got
it.
to shout out to all my bros out there.
Absolutely. Let me tell you what I do. I You're the only fraternity. Yours is the only fraternity that I try to mimic in terms of like the sound. And I think I got it. I'm not gonna do it on here. I'll do it off for you.
Nah, we got to do it right now. Come on, what you got?
I have to cover my mouth to do it and watch. I'll probably mess it up just because I'm
Come
on
on.
camera. Okay. I got to cover. This how I practice it.
How you
Like
practice it?
oil.
Nah, that ain't it, baby. But that was close.
I know. I tried. No, I tried.
You gotta come from the soul within. You gotta
You
order.
know what? Let me tell you. Really, on all honesty, I have to listen to Ricky Smiley do it, and then I
Mm-hmm.
can mimic him right behind it. But like if I don't hear the sound, then I
Mm-hmm.
can't do it as good. So it's
Gotta
kind of,
come from
but
the
I'm
soul.
putting
Gotta
it
come
out.
from the gut.
That's okay. I'm gonna cut that out. Okay. All right. So that's awesome. That's awesome. You put me
No,
on the spot. You could have gave me a one.
uh-uh. This your show. Come on, we do what you want to do.
All right. That's good. I gotta get back to my next question. Hold on. Okay. All right. So go ahead and tell everybody what college did you graduate from that you were initiated into
Mhm.
Omega Phi Psi. Go ahead and
Yeah,
tell us.
University of Memphis is where I graduated from. It's where
Okay.
I crossed those burning sands at the Omega Psi Phi, the magnificent Xi Zeta chapter. So
Love
that
it.
was a wonderful experience for myself going to college, being having a disability because I was in college at first on a football scholarship. Then I had to
Hmm.
transfer schools, move back home, then going back to school, being in a new city or my hometown in a wheelchair, and just still being able to graduate and cross and go
Oh,
to homecomings and stuff like that.
see, I was wondering like when you did that. I didn't know if you did it before.
No, I crossed after. I crossed while I was in a wheelchair.
Okay, I love it.
Mhm.
You knocked some things off your list.
Knock some things off. Yeah, I had to. I had to. I mean, I didn't want it to be, defined. I didn't want my disability to define my future. I didn't want my current circumstance to define my future. What I'm going through now doesn't dictate what is going to happen in the future. So I just wanted to overcome that and just do what I want to do what I had to do. And the brothers always going, we ain't gonna be easy on you. This ain't gonna be no walk in the park. I'm like, come on, let's get it. So it was a great experience.
It's awesome. I love those friendships that that you'll have as you're going through that process and things like that.
Mhm.
It's just I can't explain it. It's awesome. Some
Absolutely.
some real good connects.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so you are such a, as we said earlier, dare. What it's not devil. What did we say it was?
Evil Knievel, like such a
Yeah.
dare advocate. Fletcher gonna do so anything he want to do. I
So
told
just
him,
kind of tell us some of the things that you've been doing because your bucket list is awesome. I've seen you do
man,
some things.
I've done a lot. I've done a lot, and I just love to push life to the limits. I love to, people say, well, unfortunately, this isn't handicap accessible. I was like, that ain't what I asked you. I say how much it costs. Yeah.
Okay.
No, so I've been skydiving, I've been scuba diving with whale sharks and clownfish and all type of other fish. I've flown an airplane. I've ridden the world's fastest roller coaster in Abu Dhabi. I've been to the world's tallest building in Dubai. There's so many things I've accomplished and I'm able to do and experience while being in a chair. And just I've toured the Colosseum in Rome. Been to the dungeon where they like kept the lions and stuff like that, and all those type of things. It's like, man, life is so much life out there to experience. And
Yeah.
it's like, I just can't be confined to little Memphis, Tennessee. Don't get me wrong. You gonna always love your hometown, no matter
Right.
you live in LA or New York or Memphis or Chicago. You're gonna love where you're from, but there's so much more life out there to see than where you grew up.
Oh, I love it. So what's next on your list?
What's next on my list?
That
So
you
I do say it again.
that you want to do? I'm talking about your bucket list.
Yeah, so I have a bucket list. I want to see all 8 wonders of the world and experience that. I've seen 2 so far, and so I got 6 more to go, and just trying to cross those out one by one, year by year, and get to it. That would be saying my long-term goal. Short term, I would say an activity. I want to do skiing, like skiing or snowboarding or some type of snow activity.
Okay. I'm gonna let you
So
have that too. Yeah, I'm
yeah, no,
not that.
I'm gonna try to, and I don't even like to be cold. Like I hate to be cold, but that's just something I want to do. I think it's gonna, it is. Sometimes you do stuff or like surfing, like you'll do stuff for like 30 minutes. You'll be like, all right, that's enough.
Right.
I'm
That's
done.
right. I love that. That is so awesome. All right. So what is one thing that people misunderstand about you?
Something people misunderstand about me is looking at my disability and thinking defines who I am. So I would say that people see a young man in a wheelchair, and it comes from business to dating to all aspects of life. It's like society has conditioned us to see somebody in a wheelchair and feel sorry for them or think that they can't do much. And it's like, but then they start talking to me. And that's why the people who truly know me, they like, ain't nothing wrong with Fletcher. He just be sitting down all the time. Like this
Right.
man be doing everything. He does more than I do. So when strangers meet me, they're just like, oh my God, is there anything I can do? But then they see my friends. It was like, Fletcher, what do you what? No, I'm not handing you that. You get it yourself. Forget Fletcher.
Right.
You know,
Absolutely.
your friends are always gonna be a little more tougher than you than most. But I would say people misunderstand that. It's like don't think that my wheelchair defines who I am.
Because it don't. Absolutely.
Absolutely not. Yeah. And
So
and, I, and that's it for anybody, any disability or anything you go through. Don't let your divorce define who you are. Don't let you might not be successful in the business endeavor that you wish you. Don't let that define who you are. There's always as long as you waking up every day, as long as if you woke up this morning, you winning. So as long as you got another opportunity to wake up, then you got
it's
another
so right.
opportunity to change your destiny.
Absolutely. That's why this interview was so important, all your positivity. Now, one thing, so I want to go back to the question. I should have asked it right after. So do you have like a travel team, or how are you traveling? So I know that you
Mhm.
have some more things. Are you like in a travel group that you have started because you know that you want to travel? So how does that travel go?
Yeah, so I'm in travel groups,
Hmm.
but for the most part, all my trips have just been like, hey y'all, I'm going to Dubai in August. Anybody want to go? And
Yeah,
then before I know it, it's 12 people going. Because when you travel a lot, people want to be associated with you in your travels. Like when people see me going scuba diving and skydiving and doing all these things, they're like, man, I want to go with him. I want to do what he does. So my friends in my close circle or extended circle, I'm like, hey, I know y'all always talking about what I'm doing next. I'm headed to Barbados in July. Y'all want to go? Yeah, I want to go, Fletch. What we gonna do? Well, we're gonna be with these dolphins and then we gonna do this. And so the most part is I always travel no matter where I go. I always travel with somebody I feel secure with, whether it's my cousin or my best friend or my brother or whomever, just for safety purposes. But other
right.
than that, anybody can go if y'all want to.
Well, let me tell you something. That's why I asked you that, because when I saw what all you do, I said, "Oh my God, I want to meet him." But I said, "I want to go somewhere with him because, oh my God, you are living life and having fun." So I said, I am going to figure out something that he's doing that I definitely want to support and do, just to be around all of that.
What do
Just
you like
like,
to do? What's on your bucket list?
well, well, right now, what's on my real bucket list but we cannot do that no time soon. I really haven't found nobody that wants to really do it. They'll say it, but is
What's
that
that?
I want to go to the Holy Land. But
Okay.
right now you can't go, but that's on my bucket list. I said I
Yeah.
was going to go before I turned 50, but I did not.
Okay.
And that's what I want to do. Like,
Israel?
seriously. Huh? Yeah.
Okay, yeah, yeah. My homeboy, he just went. He left last week, so he plays. He on their basketball team.
Oh, because I was
So
going to say, I
yeah.
thought that you really wasn't going over there right now.
I mean, he be sending videos. He be in the club and everything. So I don't know if he in like a good part or what, but he just got on that basketball team, so he be able to have a ball. So I'm like, this ain't what they be showing on TV.
Right. But yeah, that is top on my bucket list on something that I want to do.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Good luck. Hey, I've always wanted to go there, Jerusalem, and I want to go everywhere. I want to go. I want to go. I want to see everywhere.
Well, it's a lot of places I haven't been, so I'm sure we can find something else to tag. I can tag along with you and your
For
friends
sure.
and we do.
What about in the
Um,
States? You got any bucket list locations in the States?
I do. So I've been to Vegas, but I haven't, like really had fun in Vegas. So I want to
Hmm.
go to Vegas.
That's
That's
my
on my
favorite city in the United States.
really
Yeah.
that's something that I want to do next year. It's on my
Okay.
list to do next year. But it's just some different things that I want to do. I don't know. I'll
All of
share
it.
that with
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
I love to do all of it. Yeah, I love Vegas. It's just a place to I like it because everybody's there for the same reason. Like when you go to Vegas, everybody's there to have a good time and let go
Yeah.
and just, be themselves or, just have fun. But like when you go to other locations, let's say you go to New York, some people might be there for business, some people might be there to sightsee, some people might be there to, whatever, which is cool. It's not a problem. But for the most part, when you go to Vegas, 90% of people are there for the same reason. And it's
Yeah.
cool and it's cool. But I love Vegas but really what made me start traveling internationally is because I went to Vegas 4 times in 1 year. And I
Wow.
looked at my financial spreadsheet. I was like, all the money you spent in Vegas, you could have, let me look up a flight to Italy. And I was like, man, you
Right.
could have been in Italy twice. So
Right.
I was like, you know what? Stop, doing the
Go to
same
the
thing.
same place. Right.
That
Exactly. You so
somebody
right.
said, don't, how does it go? Don't do the same thing 75 times and call it, don't do the same thing every year 75 times and call it a life. Like, so basically, don't do the same thing every year and then for 80 times, the next thing you did be doing the same thing you've been doing for 80 years and don't call it life. So basically switch it up, do something different, explore, test your boundaries, go outside your comfort zone.
You're
And
right. Well, I would say this. One of the things that I hadn't done is that I said I wanted to go to Memphis. I've been there, but I haven't explored.
mhm,
So I wanted to go to the hotel to
mhm,
see, and I wanted to go to, no, don't laugh, but I love Elvis.
yeah,
So
that's
I
cool.
want to Graceland.
Yeah,
So
Grace, that's cool.
yeah.
Being from the city, like you just don't appreciate it when you live in that city, whether it's in Chicago, the Sears Tower, or New York, the Empire State. But like when you live in that city, you don't really appreciate it. But people come there, yeah. Elvis, Graceland, the Lorraine Motel. You got Slave Haven, Stax Museum. There's so many cultured Black endeavors here, that you can definitely appreciate. So come on down.
That's
Love
what
to have you.
that's will be my first outing with you. I'm gonna come there and let you show me around.
Come
All
on,
right, come on,
sounds
let's get
good
back
to
on
me.
track. All right. So, what is one of your favorite childhood memories?
Good question. I would probably say one of my favorite childhood memories. So, and get when I got older, my dad told me where he got this from, and it's funny. But growing up, I wasn't. We ate dinner at the table every night. I wasn't allowed to eat in my room. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah, yeah. I mean, you could like snack or like a little sandwich here and there, but there was no like getting your dinner plate and going to your room. So like every day we ate dinner at the table, and those conversations we had at the table as a family every day is some of my fondest memories from being in trouble. So your mama told me a teacher called her today. What was it about? Sir. Or from laughter, or just expressing things about let me tell you what happened to me at work. And my parents laughing, and all type of emotions were spread throughout, whether bad news, receiving bad news about it might be a death in the family and discussing it as a family, and just all the type of emotions that were shared at that table throughout the years was one of my best childhood memories. And
That's
he told
awesome.
me, I was like, what? Why wasn't I allowed to do that? Eat in my room growing up. I asked my dad as I got older as a man, and he was like, he grew up in poverty and in North Memphis, and he was like, we were so separated. We was a big family, but we were separated as a family. And growing up, I used to watch the Cosby Show all the time, and they ate dinner at the table, and I was like, I want my family to eat dinner at the table. I was like, so my best childhood memory comes from a TV show. He was like, yeah, and it was funny. So yeah, that was probably one of my best memories. What about you?
My best memory would be combing my granddad's hair when I was little, and I loved to read, and so I would read. I wanted to be a school teacher, but I didn't do that. I don't know why, but anyway. So I would, write 2 plus 3 in the sand, and my granddaddy would answer it, and then I would just kind of comb his hair. But I would do it so much that he would get tired, but he would show his frustration or whatever because we would be going on the same thing. I would read him the same book, which was Cinderella, which was my favorite book,
Favorite
and
book?
that's one of my favorite memories. Is just sitting in
Mhm.
the yard with my granddaddy, combing his hair and reading him books and teaching him.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool. That's
Yeah.
but glad you had that in memory. And it's all those core memories sometimes shape us as an adult. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's why I do my family reunion because of my granddad. And so I do his side of the family reunion.
okay.
All right. So we are about to wrap up. So, what is your favorite Bible verse?
My favorite Bible verse. I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. I can do all
Absolutely.
things through Christ that strengthens me. And that's because going through the dark times that I went through being in that hospital because when you're 18 years young and the doctor telling you paralyzed and now you got to reach like you'll never play football again. Matter of fact, forget football, you won't even walk no more. It's like that type of information at such a young age can either make you or break you. And having I call God Big G, and having faith in Big G is like I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. So having that type of confidence and that type of support and that type of mindset to rely on Christ to strengthen me and not rely on my own understanding help me throughout the years.
Absolutely. I love it. That's one of the things that I'm doing in my podcast is that I want to end on a Bible verse,
Mm-hmm.
just to, because it's just part of who I am. And so I just
Mm-hmm.
wanted to incorporate that into my show where it wasn't weird to stick it in, but just stick it in a way where it fits.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I asked the question to the person that I'm interviewing to make it fit together. And then they can get to explain it. So it puts it into the conversation.
Absolutely. What's one of your favorites?
So my favorite is Proverbs 18:31. I'm sorry. Was it 21? I'm sorry, 21.
Mm-hmm.
Death and life is in the power of the tongue. Because I believe that
Mm-hmm.
when you have to speak the right things about yourself. And so I learned years ago to never speak what I don't want to happen because words work whether you want them to or not. If you speak a thing, I mean, is that's just how it works. And so I don't never say things like, oh, that tickles me to death. Or, no. People say things that they don't want to happen in life, like, oh, I'm dead. No, I don't say that. I don't play around with words and things like that. So
Understandable. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I like that. I do believe there is power in the tongue.
absolutely. And say, for instance, I used to attend a church where if I wanted to give an example of something that I did not want to happen, then I would put out a disclaimer and I would say for teaching purpose only, because that's how my pastor used to say it. And then you're able to say what it is that you want to say because you already
Yes.
put it
Yes.
in the universe to make it
Yes.
where
Yes.
so that's how I would do just to explain something to somebody. But yeah, I always say, I don't never say, oh my God, my head is hurt. I feel, it's hurting me. I feel like I'm about to die. No, I never say things like
I
that because
understand. Yeah.
not that I can prevent that because we all gonna die one day, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm mindful of what I say
Wow.
about my life.
Power in the tongue. I like it. I like it.
Yeah. All right. So go ahead and tell everybody how they can follow you on social media and support, which we didn't even. I'm sorry, before we close, you have an organization. What is the name of your organization so that we can support that too?
Yeah, the organization is entitled "The Sky Is Not the Limit," and where that comes from is there was a quote that I read when I was in the hospital. It says, "Don't tell me the sky's the limit when there's footprints on the moon." So basically, what they're saying is there are no limitations to what you can achieve. There are no limitations to what you can accomplish. Don't allow anyone to put you in a box. You are your author of your own story. So I created a foundation entitled that, and you can support by going to my website, www.fletchercleaves.com, donating there, or purchasing my book, or you book me for a speaking engagement, or if you just want to check out some of my blog posts or wheelchair nomad activities that I've done throughout the years, the skydiving videos on there, my YouTube is on there, and just browse around, see if you like anything. Social media handles, Rolling on Faith, ROLLINONFAITH. You can check me out on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and all that fun stuff. So stay connected. And I would like to encourage, if anybody would love to donate, you can please donate at $ Fletcher Cleaves on Cash App, or Fletcher Cleaves on at Gmail, on PayPal, or Fletcher Cleaves on Venmo, or any other monetary app that you wish to donate on. So the website takes a little cut. So if you want to do all the proceeds go, you just do it from Cash App to or Venmo or PayPal.
That's awesome. And what's the name of that book? I didn't get that early in our conversation.
Yeah, the name of the book is "The Sky Is Not the Limit: The Fletcher Cleaves Story." It got Amazon best-selling author within the first 4 days. I know it was phenomenal when I put it out. People started reading it, and I guess they was like, "This is one of the best books I've ever read." It's a roller coaster of emotions. From I literally just I posted a quote yesterday. Somebody sent me a message. It was like I was crying, laughing, and crying again, all within the same chapter. Like, because just knowing me, I'm a jokester, so writing the book is always going to be a little type of comedy in there. But I'm also speak the truth, and if that brings you to an emotional state, then it brings you to an emotional state. So I'm blessed enough to become an Amazon bestselling author. So it's The Sky's Not the Limit, the Fletcher Cleaves story. You can get it on Amazon or on my website.
Awesome. All right. Okay, guys, you can follow me on Instagram and TikTok as Tot Carter, and on Instagram and as Ivy Tot 10 and Talking with Tot. Until next time, y'all go out and be fabulous. Have a great day.
Have a great day. Order, order, order.
Love it.